So let us start our today's discussion on database management system. As already in your lab class, you have already started with MS Access and all those, which are basically the application of DBMS, or rather it's a kind of databases. So in our theory, parallelly we will try to discuss some of the component which is required for your lab classes as well as from the management perspectives. The term database management system is not a newer one, because from last several years, even you can say that from 1980s onward, the database management system were there into the industry, because there were certain limitation of the earlier days file based system. That's why it was replaced by database management system, and till date it having the same significance in all aspect of industry as well as human life. Even in our social media, because most of us are usually always activated in social media, so whatever the social media these portals are there, they are very much dependent on the proper use and the access technology on this database management system. So it's a versatile topic that we are trying to discuss. You see, this is a three-tier architecture of DBMS. This three-tier architecture of DBMS was first proposed by ANSYS Spark model, and according to this three-tier architecture, basically the database management system is works into three logical tier. The user will be there at the external or the topmost tier. In between the actual database and the user, there will be a logical tier called DBMS, whose primary responsibilities are to access the database on behalf of the user or the different users of database, so that the data in your database will remain much more protected, confidential, and the chances of damaging your data and the security of your data will maintain. So basically you can say over there the DBMS is working as an interface or mediator unit between the databases and the external world. Like the colleges where you used to study, they are basically the mediator or the interfacing unit between the student and the respective university. So this is basically the main fundamental architecture of database management system, and you see the definition is written over there, that is basically application software which interact with the user and the other application with the database as a interfacing unit. So example, Oracle, Sybase, DB2, MS Access, etc. See, let us discuss the advantages of DBMS over file-based system. Number one, in earlier days file-based system, there was no centralized control over data, because at those time the data used to be stored in flat file like MS Word, Excel, etc. They used to be, this file used to be stored on disk storage unit, and anyone anytime can get access of those files, even without the knowledge or without the permission of the creator of those files. So there was no centralized control over the data, as well as there was no security. But in DBMS these tools are there, because in DBMS whenever you are trying to log in into the database management system or databases, at that time you need to give in a proper ID password. There will be a proper audit tail every time to monitor the different type of transaction that you would like to proceed on databases. The other differences are like no data sharing, no data integrity in case of file based system, but now in DBMS multiple sharing or the integrity concept are there. Even there is a provision that some of the part of the DBMS or the databases which are there in one local part, whereas the other in some other part across the globe, they can be accessed in a customized way. It is more flexible, and the more importantly, the last point is very important. In earlier days file based system, there was no concept of data independence. The data independence means the data which basically remain isolated, or data remain dependent on the system. In earlier days, file-based system, but thanks to the DBMS approach, over there will be a lot of data independence. Means the data is free to be accessed in whatever the format as user asks for. Like in your mobile, whatever the data you are stored regarding your friend, those detail you can access sometime via WhatsApp. The same details sometime you are using it in order to mail your friend, or sometime using to contact him over Facebook or other social media. That means the same set of data will accessible from the different perspectives, from the multiple application, without actually disturbing the actual internal architecture of that data storage. So this is called logical data independence. Data independence are two types. One is physical and the second is logical. Logical data independence, that I already talked about, that without changing the architecture where the data is actually stored, which technology are used to access those data, we can, or the user can free to access the data in whatever the format they like. But in case of physical data independence, the internal details, sometimes the architecture, internal architecture may be changed, or the access technology may be changed, but these type of thing will remain undisclosed to the user. User should not aware of that. So in this regard, the independence are two type. Both this type of data independence will be provided by DBMS. Come on to the next one, is that basically the data model. The data model are different type. The main primary data model are hierarchical data model, which is basically like a tree structure which is maintained in government organization, where from super level or from the central government there will be a fund flow transmission to the central government, then from central government to the different district, then district to the different block, then block to the different sub block, and so on. So this is a kind of hierarchical database. There is another kind called network, which is used in our social media platform. So this network databases means there will be no in charge of the entire thing. Like in case of hierarchical database, the root will be the in charge, but in case of network database or the network model, there will be no in charge. Everyone having a right to access the other node or the other databases via the link provided to them, because everyone having in same level. There will be another concept called object oriented database management system, which is quite newer one, and in your course the main focus was given to the relational database management system or the relational model. Let me tell you, this relational model are always in terms of this type of tabular structure. These tables are called a relation. That's why the name relational database management system. So in this case of this relational model or relational database management system, there will be the concept of different relation, means table, and these table can be linked to each other via the different key called primary and secondary, which we will discuss later on. And a database consisting of these type of collection of table. So this is all about the small discussion of data model. Next, an example of table you see, this is a two-dimensional tabular structure in relational database management system. Over there you see the first column we are considering as a key. It can be a primary key, basically, by which the record from this table can be accessed. You see, the record or tuple means the individual rows, whereas the field, attribute or the column are the individual column of the table. Now let us start the discussion of the key hierarchy of database. What is key? From this diagram you can say in a very simple manner that a key is a column of a table by which the records from the table can be accessed. In more elaborate way or in more technical way, you can say that a key is an attribute of a relation or table by which the record from the table can be accessed. Clear? For example, for this particular table, the code number can be a key, or sometimes the phone number can also be a key, or sometimes the college can be a key. We are not mentioning anywhere which is going to be served as a primary key or foreign key, something like that. So the concept of key is very generalized, by which the record from that table can be accessed. Move on to the next one. You see that is written over there. Now the key are different type, like primary key. For example, in this particular example, you see registration number, name and class. The registration number over there is serving as a primary key. Why? Because it does not contain duplicate value, it does not contain null value. So a column of a table can be considered as a primary key column for that table if and only if it does not contain null value or it does not contain repeated value. As far as these two criteria are concerned, we can say that registration number for this particular case can be served as the primary mean to identify the records from that table. Clear? Because the class can be contain duplicate value, the name can be two student or two person can have the same name. So over there the registration number can be served as a primary key. So as I said, in primary key, importantly there are two rule. One, the primary key should not contain null value. Second, the primary key should not contain duplicate value. So as far as this primary key is concerned, let us also discuss the candidate key. The candidate key are the minimal super key of a table which is used to selection of the primary key. So it is basically the first step of selection of the primary key. Move on to the next topic, alternative key. As I said, that candidate key is basically a bucket which consisting of so many key. Out of that we will select the primary key, and the remaining key which are not going to be selected as a primary key by the database designer can be treated as an alternative key. For example, for this particular case, registration number, roll number, name, class. In this particular case, both the registration number and the roll number can be considered as a primary key. But out of that, because both of these are not containing duplicate value or null value, but the database designer select the primary key as registration number for valid reason, because on which the university have full control, and that's why the alternative key will be roll number. Next, composite key, important concept. Sometime for a particular database, it may happen that there will be no column or no attribute of a table having the capability or having the feature of unique value and not null value. That means the primary key, we cannot directly identify any one column of a table as a primary key column. In that case, sometime depending upon the situation, we select two or multiple column of a table jointly as a primary key column. So those things are known as composite primary key. For example, over there the roll number is repeated, the subject is also repeated, the marks definitely are going to be repeated. That's why we are assuming a composite primary key consisting of roll number and subject. Clear? Move on to the next topic. See, important topic is called foreign key. As I said, by this primary key foreign key, we are actually establishing the relationship between the different tables of a database. Over there also, a foreign key is what? A foreign key is basically the primary key of a table which is present in some other table as a silent attribute. By this foreign key and primary key concept, we are actually making a parent-child relationship among these two or multiple tables, so that the record from these tables can be accessed jointly. Clear? Like a foreigner, citizen of some other country visited in our country, over here they will be treated as a foreigner. Similarly, if the primary key, for example, in this table, the primary key is also present in some other in the upward table as a silent key. So in upward table, that column is known as foreign key. Okay. The last concept of the key is called secondary key. Secondary key are just opposite of primary key because they contain duplicate value, or sometimes they may contain null value, but they have a special provision that they can select a group of object together as a joint basis. So this is basically the concept of key hierarchy. So move on to the next one, is called data integrity. The data integrity are two types. One is called primary and the second is called referential integrity. So referential integrity is basically related to the primary key foreign key concept, and the entity integrity concept are basically the domain integrity concept, which is reflected over there. This is the first, and the third and the fourth point is important. The entity concept says that the primary key cannot be null or duplicate. They must be proper value. Whereas the referential integrity concepts call that the referential constant between the table must be enforced at all the time of the RDBMS. So this is basically the main criteria. Move on to the next one. You see, the referential integrity is written. For example, if you carefully see this particular table, two tables are there. You see, the parent table contain two columns, for example, the artist ID and the artist name, and the lower table, the children table, contain artist ID, artist album ID and album name. Now in the lower table or the children table, our artist ID, means the primary table, is treated as a foreign key. It is written FK over there. Now you see, the referential integrity concept says that in children table only those record will allow which have a entity, corresponding entity in parent table. For example, over there you see, in parent table 1, 2, 3, these three are the register valid entities. So except 1, 2, 3, whatever the other entities are there in children table, they will be not allowed. So this is referential integrity concept. For example, right now I send you the Hangout Google Meet link. So it is supposed that only those student or those person belongs to PGDM 1 or this particular class, they will be allowed to log into this particular Google Meet. If some other student or some other people from some other organization is trying to access, in that case, from the referential integrity part, I should block them or I should not give an allow to them. That's why everyone is saying this social platform Zoom and Google Meet, they are not that much secure, because they violated this basic concept of databases sometime. Anyway, I hope the main concept is clear too. This is the three-tier architecture of DBMS. I said in my first title slide that according to this three-tier architecture of DBMS proposed by ANSYS Spark model, only user will be there at the external tier. In between user and the actual database, there will be a tier called conceptual tier, which is close to the actual DBMS, and the DBMS is responsible for accessing the user queries by taking the data from the actual database via an internal tier. Let me tell you, per database there will be one internal tier or one internal schema, one conceptual schema, but there will be multiple number of logical schema. So this is basically the main focus point of DBMS, and by this structure we are trying to maintain the integrity, consistency as well as the security provision of the database remain alive. You see the structure of DBMS is also written there, that typically a database is consisting of this layer approach. You see now in our networking also, your teacher has already discussed that they are the multiple layer approach. Each layer are performing individual tasks. Similarly in DBMS, the structure is basically a layer approach where each layer will perform the different tasks. For example, in your course, I'm sure your teacher will be discussed later on, there will be some terms called DDL, DML, DCL, like SQL, structure query language. So these are the backend programming language of fourth generation, which not going to be recognized by the database. Now these fourth generation backend programming language written on SQL platform needed to be converted into internal mean. Who will be convert those things? Our query optimization are there, which will be take your SQL query written in a high level language like select star from this and internally converted and parse them into tokens or meaningful insight, and then the different type of logical operator called relational operator are used to make a synchronization among them, and the corresponding processing will be done. So these are the internal thing. Very quickly, there are four type of DBMS: native user or the basic level user who don't have any knowledge regarding the actual demo DBMS and their operation. They are the end user only. For example, ATM card holder making a transaction from ATM machine. So they don't know anything about the database, DBMS and something like that. Throughout their transaction, the machine will instruct them what to do, what to not do. Second is the application programmer. They have a bit knowledge regarding the actual database because they are primarily responsible for designing the interfaces. Next, the system programmer. They have in-depth knowledge of the actual database and their operation because they are the person who actually making all this type of connection and those concept. And the last one is called the database administrator. Let me tell you, the DBA are the super user of database because they are the in charge of each and every activity being performed on databases and their corresponding role, which is important. Sometimes the question used to become directly from that section, that the role of DBA are what they used to take periodically backup and recovery. Nowadays this DBA can itself be a person, a group of person, and for large organization they even can be software also. Second, they perform the different type of performance tuning, optimization. They are responsible for designing and implementing or granting different type of access right to the different category of user. You see, in your social media account, you are the database administrator. You sometime block someone, you given someone as a mutual friend access, someone you given as a private or public, this type of access rights. So this access rights are very much significant when we are accessing a particular database. They are primarily responsible for installation, migration, updation of database, as well as documentation or benchmarking. So these are the basic thing. Advantage of DBMS, as I already said, the data independence, which is two type, logical and physical. They are basically providing different type of security. They are basically providing different type of centralized control over data, or different type of audit trail is possible nowadays on database, so that the chances of fraud, the chances of faulty transaction will minimize or immediately can be accessed and seized. Data administration, reduce application development time, concurrent or multiple access, the crash recovery, different type of efficiently data access. So they are the main advantages. And you see there are some database written like one particular database consisting of 4 columns over there, like item column or the product column, the supplier, who are the supplier, what are their ID, the name, phone number, email ID, what are the sales, what are the supply table, etc. So this is all about the basic discussion of DBMS. I hope it is clear to you. If you have any queries, you can access me via email. That's all of our today's class.